Hello. So happy to be doing this, continuing with the mental health awareness series. I'm Ben Decker, author of Practical Meditation for Beginners, and I'm going to be joined by a wonderful friend of mine who's coming on right now. Tahir, she's a psychotherapist with offices in New Orleans and in Los Angeles. She's an author of the upcoming book, Lisa.
Ben!
Hey, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight.
I am so delighted to be with you and our friends who are going to be joining in with
Yeah.
us. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming in. So, Lisa, let's dive right in. So, this is going to be obviously it's going to be on video tomorrow and everything. So, let's just dive in. It's Mental Health Awareness Month. And hi, Kirsten. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Jason. Hi, Donald. Hi, Andre. Sorry to interrupt. Okay. So,
yeah.
back to
No,
you,
it's
Lisa.
exciting to see everybody. It's like, hey.
Yeah. Hey,
Welcome.
everybody. Okay. So, it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and you are a licensed psychotherapist in both New Orleans or both Louisiana and California. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's accurate.
Okay, cool. And so you are a really, really interesting character too, because you're not just in the mental health space as far as therapy. You have a really interesting book coming out, and you're also a patent holder.
Yes.
So you
Thank
are like a really gifted glass blower, and you're also an energy worker. But talk to me a little bit about the glass blowing. Does that feel meditative for you? Does that feel therapeutic?
Ben, yes. For me, glass art making, glass blowing, casting, even coming up with my patent for people in wheelchairs to learn to blow and cast glass safely from their wheelchairs. It's my therapy. It helps me focus in the moment. And as I've learned more and more about mindfulness and about meditation, I feel like I drop into a meditative type state when I'm working with glass, just being so focused in that moment. And I found it just so healing for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, that's really cool. I remember one time you gave me, I
Yeah.
don't remember what holiday it was or what the occasion was, but you gave me a candle holder, a votive holder that you actually cast out of glass.
I have one here that I gave you. I made one. It's hematite. I thought you
With,
might like hematite for protection. So
yeah,
it's hematite that I put into molten hot glass and then adhered to aluminum with a votive candle for your meditation time.
yeah, I love it. I totally still have it. And actually, you know what? I just opened the Fireside Library in Koreatown. Did you know I opened a library in Koreatown?
I did read about that. Yes.
Yeah, and I actually have your candle holder there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's in the library. It's amazing. You have to come by once we reopen. It's gorgeous.
I was in New Orleans for the opening. Congratulations on that. It's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
You're
thank you so
welcome.
much. It's really incredible. So I want to talk a little bit about first of all, I don't know very much about your style of psychotherapy, so we're going to definitely get into that because I know that you're really, really insightful. But I had the opportunity to read an early draft of your new book, Chiron.
Yes.
And it's so good. It's
Thank
such
you.
a good book, and it's so interesting. And it's a real thing that my relationship to astrology is I'm I really like any type of archetypal reflection where you can use an archetype to reflect on an area of your own psyche. I'm less of like a divination kind of person and more of a self-reflection kind of person.
That makes sense, knowing you. Yeah.
And that's what I really loved about Chiron. It was about your core wounds. So tell us, first of all, tell us the full name of the book, when it comes out, and tell us how you came onto that topic and a little bit about the book.
Sure. My book is called The Chiron Effect: Healing Our Core Wounds Through Astrology, Empathy, and Self-Forgiveness. And Ben, I came upon this approach. It's a paradigm to add to the paradigms out there on how to heal repetitive patterns that we find ourselves in that we don't want to be in. And we somehow feel almost like these things happen to us, not sure what our co-creation is or what our part is, and they leave us feeling disconnected from our happiness, our joy. And I, as a therapist for 20 years, became frustrated with the traditional pattern of rehashing traumatic memories. I asked in meditation, like, what is beyond this, something that I can contribute? And it came to me to research Chiron, Chiron, the wounded healer archetype that Carl Jung speaks about. And it's an astrological placement as well. Just like your sun sign is, you're a Libra, and we have a
Yeah.
rising sign and such. We also have a Chiron. And I just started studying about how this placement identifies 12 core wounds. Some of them have to do with abandonment, some of them have to do with neglect, some of them have to do with a wounding, for core wounding from inappropriate power and its expression. And
Mm.
so I spent 3.5 years writing the book and combining it with modern day psychotherapy and metaphysical practices and meditation, and just to make it kind of like one new offering, for people in concert with things that have already been spoken about for thousands of years, even in some
Okay,
traditions.
so are you an astrologer or did you
No,
take a special interest on Chiron? Okay.
just Chiron. And I trademarked the word psychoastrology because I feel like my expertise is in the psychoastrology of Chiron, of
Hmm.
how this core wound affects your psychological, spiritual, sexual, financial kind of operating in life. And to heal that, to have more happiness, that we really can have awareness and consciousness and transcend and transform those wounds.
Okay, and so throughout that process, you did learn a little bit about the other placements and
Yeah.
the other, and of course, you learned quite a bit about the archetypes of each of the different signs because you go into some pretty relatively extensive detail in the book.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, which I really liked. And you can actually calculate your Chiron in the book, which is
Yes.
cool.
I have an
Okay,
interactive website. Yeah.
so just for fun,
Yeah.
um, why don't we let everyone know what that might look like? Okay, so I'm a Libra.
Yeah.
My sun sign's a Libra. My rising is Scorpio.
Okay.
My moon is also Scorpio.
Okay. That's part of why I
And
think you're so deep and thoughtful and mysterious and really into metaphysics and Kabbalah and ancient traditions and ceremony. That makes so much sense.
okay, and so then I'm also my Venus and Mercury are both in Venus.
Okay. So you
My
love love.
Venus and Mercury are both in Libra. That's what
Oh,
I
and
meant.
Libra. Okay. So you love relationships.
And let's see what else. Whatever. Let's fast forward to Chiron.
Yeah.
Oh, my Jupiter's in Aries.
Okay.
So
Good
okay,
seeing. Yeah.
let's fast forward to Chiron.
Okay.
My Chiron is in Gemini.
So
So
that speaks to a core wounding and oh my gosh, Ben, I'm somehow feeling put on. Let me just, I happen to have my manuscript here.
yeah.
Core wounding, Gemini is, I want to make sure I don't mince the words because I spent so much time. Core wounding and empathetic attunement. And that means that you may have had experiences from your peers in school, parents, where you weren't empathetically attuned to, that your needs emotionally might not have been understood. And I don't know, for you being such a deep seeker and thinker, if there might have been a misalignment. I know some about your background in the Mormon church. If there was a misattunement to some of your deepest needs as a spiritual seeker, even being a young person, that can cause some. I know you brought up cognitive dissonance the other night with Marianne
Hmm.
Williamson, and I've been thinking of that. It's a conflict between what you feel and believe. So I don't know if it caused you some even cognitive dissonance within your own self.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that resonates. I think in a lot of ways, I had to, as Marianne said, and actually we said on the call the other night, which I'm so glad you were there.
Yeah.
Um, I had to discover God for myself.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, and the interesting thing that also Marianne's obviously been a close friend,
Yeah.
for several years, and so she she really helped me actually with the reconciliation with my childhood tradition.
Yes.
And that was huge. That
Mm-hmm.
was like psychologically enormous, you know. Um, and so with that core wounding, and look, this is really just to look at what the psychoastrology of Chiron really is. What would that look like? So that's an attunement, a misattunement of empathy. How do I go about healing that? How does someone go about healing?
It has to do what you've done so well in your life to create community and create relationships with people where you are mirrored and you're able to express your truest and most authentic self and have that met, have that validated, have yourself attuned to. And you've created that personally and for us through your 2 books. I know you have more on the way to really find ways that you are heard, attuned to properly and empathetically. So you've naturally healed your own core wounding through your presence and your work.
You know, this is so interesting because, like you mentioned, there are more books coming. I just got the artwork for the third book
That's so exciting. That's
today.
awesome.
Today, and my core wound was triggered.
Why is that?
I I didn't feel. You know, it's interesting because the way I didn't know how to describe how I was feeling about the artwork, but it felt like I wasn't heard. It felt like it wasn't understood, and so
Yes.
the way you're describing that, it's actually a core wound that was triggered.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like you knew it in the moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And were you able to respond instead of react because of your
I
awareness?
responded. Yeah, I
Yeah.
responded. I said it was maybe it was quick, so it had like probably a reactive tone to it. But the response was really like, you know, the content is this, the way I see it is this, and this is how I see the artwork. I
Okay.
see the artwork this way,
Good.
you know. So I tried to communicate it with, and I also did really validate what I thought was beautiful. There are certain things about the book that I thought were done really, really well. So I did like kind of love sandwich it. I was like, I love
That's awesome.
this. I've got a problem with this. Loved this too.
Yeah.
You know.
And so you did so well with that because of the awareness and insight and your meditation practice to help you slow your reaction times to be able to respond. And your story caused what I've been thinking about and coming on this evening, or is right now with Mental Health Awareness Month and just inhibitions to our happiness, like, perceived obstacles during the time that we're in. And I think it
Right.
speaks to all core wounds because regardless if you know about Chiron or not, that it really comes down to this, like, finding our happiness. And one of the obstructions that's been coming up for me and the people I'm working with as well is comparing ourselves to others,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the digital space, which is getting more and more utilized. That, an alternative that I offer is, instead of comparing yourself to others, compare yourself with you. And am I doing better, than I was last week, last month, or last year? And it could
Mm-hmm.
be in specific areas, even whether it's nutrition and your health routine or something you're creating in the digital space. and
Mm-hmm.
and to try to just, others with larger followings. I know for me, it's like, oh, this person has so many people behind them, but everyone started somewhere. And just coming back to where you are and being authentic and putting out what's important to you, because it does matter. So I just wanted to encourage people listening and watching to really get out there in this digital space, because it's ripe for it. I think there's so many opportunities right now. What do you think?
I couldn't agree with you. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I completely agree. Especially the idea that you mentioned about not comparing ourselves to others, but comparing ourselves to ourselves. Um, I think that, you know, it's that notion of progress, not perfection.
Yeah,
Yeah. And you know what I've been saying? Progress is perfection.
I love that.
Yeah,
Because it is.
progress is perfection.
Yeah, and but even as you're saying that, another one of the issues that I see is inhibiting our happiness right now is where we have expectations when they're not met, and the resulting disappointment.
You're describing exactly. Okay, you're frozen for a second, but you're describing what I was feeling with my publisher. I had an
How
expectation.
so? Yeah.
Yeah, and then it wasn't met. You know, and it's not a big deal. It really isn't. But that's just sort of what's fresh, you know. And that's a really good thing, you know, not comparing ourselves to others, comparing ourselves to ourselves, mapping progress,
Yeah.
mapping the progress, you know, being conscious of the progress, recognizing, owning, and accepting where you are in your process.
Yes.
It's a
Been, I've
process.
been, yeah, that's been so current for me personally. Exactly
Hmm.
what you're saying about, for me, like, also people feeling like things are out of control right now. We don't know, like, I'll be happier when the pandemic passes. And I say,
Right,
no, it's time to be happy now with things
right.
currently as they are.
Yeah, get present.
Yes, becoming comfortable. I've used appreciation to help me with that. Just
Yeah.
really appreciating whatever is in front of me during a day. It helps kind of pull me back from negative
Hmm.
thoughts. What about for you? And
Yeah, I totally agree. And one of my favorite, Bob Proctor is the one who came up with this. Um, I'm so happy and grateful that, you
oh, I
know,
love that.
yeah, I'm so happy and grateful that, you know, so that's a good thing if you're stuck in the process.
Yeah, I see that. I see Rising Sun asking that if you're stuck in the process.
Yeah, I'm so happy and grateful that I have a roof over my head. I'm so happy and grateful that for me, here, I'll just blast out a few. I'm so happy and grateful that I have this technology that I can see my friends.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy and grateful that we have each other. I'm so happy and grateful that we're not really alone.
Yeah.
I'm so happy and grateful that Unplug is still open and I can keep teaching my meditation classes throughout all of this. I'm so happy and grateful that I get to spend extra time with my parents. And I'm with them in Westchester right now.
Yeah, you've been there a long time, this whole
Yeah,
time.
I know this
Yeah.
whole time. I'm
What
like,
a treat.
geez,
What a delight. This never would have happened, Ben, if it
totally.
weren't for the pandemic.
I haven't spent this much time with them since I was 18 years old.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wanted to catch your mom. I had the wrong date written down. I've been trying to watch as many of these lives as I could because your mom is so amazing.
Oh,
I
she's
want,
wonderful.
yeah,
She's really,
that's
yeah, she's
special
great.
that you're there.
Yeah, it's really, really great that we're here. But when we did the live, I made her do it from her shop.
Okay. Oh yeah, of course.
I was like, you do it from the shop and I'll do it from the house. So
And I've been appreciating. I've chosen to stay in Los Angeles instead of going back to New Orleans. So it's my longest stay in Los Angeles, and it's really become home in a way I don't think that it would have if I was doing my 2 month shorter stays. I've been able to settle in and really appreciate my neighborhood. There are gorgeous roses that bloom all along the streets, and I'm under the Hollywood sign, and I can walk to this place where there's a spectacular view, and I just appreciate the scenery and the sun. It's just
yeah,
really like the small things. I think it can help to get unstuck.
totally. Because it's an energy thing. You want
Yeah.
to start to move the energy, and as within, so without. As
Mm-hmm.
above, so below. You know, so you
The
want to
mirror,
work the
the mirror
mirror.
relationship.
Yeah, you want to really work with that gratitude energy, the appreciation, like you said. I love that. But then also do something to move the energy. One of the things that I've always done is reorganize, redecorate, refresh, um, clean your apartment, clean your house, move the furniture around. And there's something
Yes.
about there's feng shui. You know, we could do like
Yes.
a whole dissertation on feng shui. But you know, looking at the feng shui of your home, becoming aware of, like, you know, I had a client that I was working with who felt really depressed, and she was feeling really stuck and depressed. And I went to her home, and it was really grimy and cluttered.
Yeah.
And so I helped her clean it. And then I looked on her walls, and she had a picture, a hand drawn, expensive. It looked like a high end
Okay.
charcoal drawing of someone jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that was it.
Yeah, and I was like, that is such heavy, dense suicide
Suicide
energy.
energy. Yeah, like
Yeah.
hopeless, despair.
Hmm.
Wow.
And you know what? It was above her bed.
Oh, Ben, was she able to hear you and remove that?
She moved it.
Oh, she didn't release it.
She didn't release it all together, but what she also did, she was like, that's a really expensive thing. It's so beautiful. It's about impermanence. And I was like,
Okay.
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 Let's move it from above the bed. So it's not the
Yeah.
first thing you see and the last thing you see, that
Yes.
goes too deep into the unconscious mind. We cleaned her house and we ordered some sacred geometry stuff on Amazon,
Okay.
some stuff with the flower of life.
Yeah.
Um, and we put that around in different places, and it was like, you know what, the energy started to change, started to
Feel it.
refresh. Yeah. And she also had one of those room dividers where each part of the room divider was a picture frame. And I said, how long have you had that? And she said, for years. I've had that for like 5 years. And the pictures that were in it were still the original example photos that came with the frames when she bought it.
Oh my gosh, nothing personal about her.
No, right. And so I said, do you have any large 8x10 photos we could put in there? She said, not really, maybe a couple. And we looked through, and she found one of her as a baby. She found
Okay.
one with her and her and her family and her grandparents when they were alive. We put those two in there, but there was still 10 more empty picture
Really?
frames. So we took a magazine
Okay.
and we made it her vision board.
That's awesome.
We put beautiful things in it, bright photos, beautiful images,
Yes.
flowers, things like that. So
That
you'd be surprised how little things like that
can
move your
change a
energy.
space and change a person. That changes your life
Mm-hmm.
entirely. It changes what you begin to manifest. I love talking about using a pendulum, just a weighted object that spins directionally to
Yep.
confirm yes or no answers and attuning it to your own energy. And crystal grids. I have clear crystal quartz in every corner, in every window of my home in Los Angeles, in New Orleans, in my car. And I even did an online class about 20 techniques like that you can use creating an altar in your
Mm-hmm.
house. It can be private in a cabinet with objects of significance, photos of significance, crystals, feathers, whatever has value, a sacred space, an altar like that, or it could be more of a public display in your home. I
Right.
love that kind of stuff, Ben, to really shift the energy because it changes you. Like you said, we're energy, and where
Mm-hmm.
we live mirrors that.
Right. And when I first came to my parents' place in Westchester, it's big, it's beautiful, it's
Yeah.
super, it's lovely, but it's not as big and not as beautiful as other homes that they've lived in
Okay.
over the years. They got 5 kids. So at one point we lived in like a giant house.
Yeah.
And it was super fabulous. My dad owns a home building company, custom homes. And so they're in a temporary home right now for like a year or so. They've been in here for a year. They'll be here for another year. And they had some of our nicest artwork boxed up.
Oh my gosh. Because they're
And,
there temporarily, but it's a year. That's a long time.
yeah. And they had all these beautiful paintings and prints and family portraits boxed up. And in the formal dining room, the walls were blank.
Oh gosh.
And
I
so
can feel it. I can feel it as being sterile.
yeah. And so what I did was I made the formal dining room our temple.
Wow. What did you do?
I hung a print, a huge, like 36 by 36 print of the Nauvoo temple. In Nauvoo, Illinois, there's a temple that our ancestors built.
Okay.
And it's gorgeous. And so we
Yeah.
have this beautiful picture. I hung that, centered it right on the wall. Hung another
Beautiful.
picture of Jesus.
Beautiful.
Yeah, a picture we've
Yeah.
had in the family for a long time. And then another picture, it was a painting of, my ancestors were pioneers.
Yeah.
So they were like hand cart covered wagon pioneers. And so we have a painting of pioneers pushing the carts, and there are angels there pushing the carts with them.
That's beautiful.
So I hung that up. I hung this amazing high-end, really nicely framed print of the signing of the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
And so I made it the temple, and also church hasn't been happening. There's no church.
Right.
So we do sacrament, we do the communion, and we do an entire church service every Sunday, just me and my parents in that room.
That's beautiful, Ben. What
Yeah,
powerful ceremony and tradition that you're creating together.
absolutely. And what do you think about the role of ceremony and ritual in mental health?
I think it's something I talk to my clients a lot about in different ways, depending on where they are. And that's how I approach therapy is getting a sense of what got someone to make the call or schedule the appointment to start where you are, and then to incorporate in as I see some gaps, some potentials that you might want to embrace, that you might want to try out. And I think that formalizing our processes, a morning routine, an evening routine, a schedule of some kind of physical activity, even walking in the daytime, and especially right now during the pandemic, to really to it can help us feel connected regardless of if we live with someone or not. And I think just the ritualization of things, like again, I use crystals and I love sleeping with one under my pillow, rose quartz, and I like just kind of holding it at night. So I'll suggest that just comfort, self-soothing is really important to me. And
Mm-hmm.
working with people and teaching people self-soothing techniques, it can be as simple as a hot bath or hot shower every night, something to really soothe your physical body, reading something uplifting, meditating, of course. And for those people that aren't, as you hear, I'm sure like I can't sit that still, or the things that we say. I've offered your book to so many, and the walking meditation technique
Mm-hmm.
that you can mindfully walk and focus on your breath. And that seems to work for people who have a
Yeah.
hard time with the sitting still.
Mm-hmm.
So I think to really formalize that in your day, and especially right now when a lot of people have wide open time that they've never had, that they become almost paralyzed and unable to do anything because there's so many options, that people kind of collapse into not doing anything and maybe just vegging out, but then feeling disconnected and falling into unhealthy habits. So to really kind of ritualize your day, I would encourage right now with some meaningful things. What do you think
Love it.
about that? How do you
Oh yeah,
incorporate?
it's huge.
Yeah.
I think I think ritual and routine, the all of nature works by ritual. How does the liver know what to do?
Mm,
It does what it does. It's got a ritual. The liver and the lungs and the heartbeat, they operate by ritual, by routine, by pattern.
yes.
Um, Nature, astrology, etc. We see seasons for all things,
Yeah,
and we're part of nature.
we are.
And so we get to be, we have free agency. We have a special gift that other creatures don't have, and it's that accelerated wisdom, and we can transmit it to other creatures, but we have something really special, and we have the opportunity to control the way our mind works,
Yes.
um, by training ourselves.
And using our consciousness, like I hear you saying that we have consciousness that separates us from animals, higher consciousness,
Hmm.
intuition. And it's such an important time, I think, to lean in to that right now. There's such a space for it to
Hmm.
even take a class or just read things. If you don't want to formalize it that much, read about topics you might have always wanted to, but
Right.
didn't have the time, kind of some self-study, something
Hmm.
that's enjoyable to you.
Yeah, and I think it's a good time to detox. So notice, like, we're on Instagram. Notice what
Yeah,
Instagram feeds are not helpful for you.
I agree.
Some of them are full on chaotic and negative.
Yeah, and
Some of
some
them, and
conversely are awesome.
yeah, and some are really great. So it's like, in my book, I call it your psychic diet, the diet of your psyche,
Yeah,
right?
oh, that's brilliant. It's true.
Yeah. So watch your nutrition, watch your psychic nutrition, you
Yeah.
know, and I try to be extra conscious of what I'm offering. Ever since I wrote that in one of my books, I was like, you know what? I'm going to upgrade what I'm offering on my Instagram
Yes.
because I want it to be of higher nutritional value.
Absolutely, Ben. Yeah, I've
Hmm.
been reading every few days on Instagram, my YouTube channel, and Facebook from my manuscript, like in 3 to 4 minute segments, so people can get a taste of what it's about. And
Yeah,
I found
cool.
that to be connective with others, those of you out there. Like, I feel like I'm really speaking to an audience and like, you know, feeling the vibes. It's been so beneficial. And I
Yeah.
think going back to the core wounding, that kind of stuff is coming up right now in relationships within one's own self. A lot of time that we have to reflect, that people are ruminating, things are coming up that are from the past that are painful. And I think that it's helpful to, our wounds want to wake us up to a part of ourselves that we're not in touch with. So instead of avoiding them, to take them out with some kindness, some curiosity and compassion, and ask, like, what information do you have for me? And to write that out, to really just be with those wounded parts of yourself so that you can release it. And even whatever you journal, burn it in your sink. That's one of my favorite rituals, is burn what you want to release. It's symbolic and it's physical.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think definitely taking those kinds of actions that can be meaningful symbolically for us. I think that's really, really huge. I can't believe how quickly time is flying.
I
We could
know.
sit here and talk for another hour. So, Lisa, is there anything from your book as we come to a close? Is there anything that you'd like to read, to
Oh,
share
sure.
for us?
Oh, yeah, I'd love to. Yes, I have this section actually having to do with, it falls in line with what we're talking about, I think. Cultivating curiosity over defensiveness.
Mm-hmm.
The mind is a powerful tool that is remarkable in its abilities to imagine and create. Let's join in an intention to be slow to anger with each other and instead respond with curiosity and with calmness. And
Whoa.
yeah, instead of
Okay, just okay, read the next line.
sure, instead of responding in defensiveness, let's uncover more information with the intention of mutual understanding and resolution.
I need that like tattooed on the inside of my eyelids. So I see it every time I close my eyes. That's so good. Wow.
Thank you.
Will you make an infographic of those couple sentences so that we can see it and share it?
I will. Can I read one more passage from A Course in Miracles that follows that?
Yes.
Because I know we're both students of the course and you teach on A Course in Miracles. I follow up with that, talking about how it's easier to interrupt our emotional escalations in their earlier stages rather than later, when people start bringing up past hurts and things escalate so quickly, that it's important to give yourself time to slow down and think about how you want to respond. And we often attack ourselves for our shortcomings. So I ask for people to consider this perspective from A Course in Miracles. This is in quote: the only thing that is required for healing is a lack of fear. This does not mean the conflict must be gone forever from your mind to heal. For if it were, there would be no need for healing. But it does mean, if only for an instant, that you love without attack. And I think that's so, like, I want to tattoo that somewhere, to love without attack.
Love that. Wow. Such a beautiful passage. Thank you so much for that. The Chiron Effect, ladies and gentlemen. What's the full title of the book?
The Chiron Effect: Healing Our Core Wounds Through Astrology, Empathy, and Self-Forgiveness.
Incredible. Okay, great. This is Lisa Tahir, guys. Follow her. She's NOLA Therapy, NOLA Therapy. And follow her. Get ready. When is the book's available for pre-order now?
It's available now, yeah, at NOLA Therapy, here on Instagram in my link tree at nolatherapy.com. It's available for pre-order. If people follow me, they can check out me reading it on social media so you know what it's about. I just want to
Yep.
offer that as well right now to upgrade.
Yeah, and she's going to be coming out with a graphic that shares that incredible passage she just read.
Thank you, Ben. I loved being on with you today. I love you so much.
I love you too. Thank you so much. Thanks
You're
everybody for
welcome.
hanging out with us. And this will be up tomorrow. So we'll see you soon.
Awesome.
Bye, Lisa.
Bye.
See you very soon, Lisa.
Yes.